go. Hey, an unexpected afternoon chat here. Today is, I can't even see it, but the 7th of February 2018. We have Judith from Israel and special guest Sarah, who I mirrored her video that she put on the beach because you were a lady talking about flat earth, and there aren't many, and I liked your story. And then you got in touch today after I'd actually put it on Sun and Moon weeks ago. So I feel, as I said, I feel like I know Sarah, but Sarah doesn't really know us. But she's come on today to talk a bit about how she got into flat earth. And not just that, she's writing a book. So Sarah, hello.
Hi. This is so weird.
Hi, shalom, Sarah. Shalom, everybody.
Yeah. Morning you were cleaning and now you're on the internet.
Yeah, well, as I say, if I wasn't talking right now, I'd probably be trying to write, but I'd probably get distracted and read my own book. I've read it so many times, but yeah, I'll be writing, so. But
yeah, do you want to just explain to people a little bit? Because obviously you don't know you've been on Sun and Moon, poor lady. But yeah, I mirrored it because I just thought it was really nice that you actually explained. A lot of people don't put their stories out about how they got to flat earth. Do you want to just explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll try to remember what I said. It was back in the summer. Was it back in the summer?
Yeah, and also Sarah lives 10 miles from John O'Groat. So that's like the furthest point in Scotland. She's miles away up there.
Yeah, trying to get away from society. Trying. Very, very trying.
Okay. Is that what that move was about then for you?
No, actually, my mum tried to get away from society when she moved to Orkney. She lives on one of the little islands out there, which is it's tiny. She moved here about, 15 years ago. 15 years ago. And that's when I decided to sort of follow her. Most of us followed her up here. And then I met my husband, but he lives here in Wick, which is, as I say, about 10 miles from John O'Groats, and it really is very remote. Tiny little village. It is a really nice community, really nice community of people. You know, everybody knows everybody's business, which is sort of nice, but a bit irritating sort of thing. But try and get to the point is I don't think there's any. There probably is a couple of people around in Caithness that are, flat earthers, I suppose you want to call them, or whatever. But I don't know any of them. And I think I was on like Dale was showing. I was saying it really is. It gets really lonely when you feel really cut off from everybody. I don't know if you guys feel the same. If you've not got people to talk to about stuff, you start feeling really shut off. So,
well, we've got each other in the group. Even on days off, we talk to each other and have like private hangouts, weekends, because we're a bit stretched out. But yeah, as you know, stretched out. Everybody's here everywhere.
But my story, which I think I did a video on, because as I say, everyone's got their life story, I suppose, which is completely different. But a flat earth story of how you come about sort of, I don't like to say believing in it, because that sort of, I don't like that word very much these days, but acknowledging it is probably the best word I could use. I think it was like a year and a half ago. It was not the October gone, the October before. My brother came up, and I'm really close to my brother. Tell me if I'm rambling on, by the way, Mary. Okay. If I'm
carry on, I asked you to come on to talk. So carry on, Sarah.
Okay, cool. Right, cool. I'll just carry on blabbering. So yeah, my brother, I'm really close to, and over the, since our childhood or whatever, he's always come up to me, and we'll have really deep discussions, talking about dreams, information I've come across. He got me onto David Icke many years ago. So he'd always come, we'd have these deep, long discussions. And he's never come to me and given me information that's really seemed to stop me in my tracks, until, I say, it was the October of, not the 1 year gone, so 2016, it must have been. Yeah, and he came to me and he's like, "Oh, Sarah, I've got to tell you something. I've got to tell you something." I'm like, What is it now? Seriously, what is it? What are you going to tell me? He goes, "Well, basically, the world is, there's like a movement going on, and people think like the world is flat." And when someone says that to you, you're like, what? And your brain seems to sort of go, what? because like, as I say, he's always come to information, and then I go and check it out myself. I make my own opinion on it, etc., etc. So you don't just believe somebody when they say something. But this was one of these type of things that really seemed to just go against all of my previous beliefs of how I viewed my world to be, which was a galaxies with various star systems and all these various different let's say the best way you can describe it is all these different galaxies of all these different beings and things like that. As I say, I followed David Wilcott and all his stuff and this, that. So to turn around to me and say, oh yeah, the world is flat, that goes against everything that I based my beliefs on. And so I was very much like, what do you want about? And he goes, yeah, well, people think it's flat and there is no sort, it's not a God. And I might say my brain just didn't seem to like accept it, because that just didn't make any sense. Anyway, he then gave me a few videos to watch. 5 hours later, 5 hours later after watching, now we're trying to think of the guy's name. Is it Saint David? Is it Murphy? Is it David Murphy?
Dave Murphy.
Is it Dave Murphy? He does like an hour video. I
was messaging him earlier today.
Oh, great.
He did. Sorry, what was that you did?
Yeah, great to start with Eddie Murphy. Yeah,
because he did this hour-long presentation, didn't he? And this interview with, I think it was a Russian guy, I think. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
About an hour.
Everything.
But that was one of the videos that he put me to.
He's come on our panel quite a bit. He's away at the moment, and I just carry on talking to him, and hopefully he'll come back soon. He's away at the moment.
He's a good guy. He's got a really sort of grounding way about him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That was
5 hours later, Sarah. Yeah.
5 hours later, right? Oh, I was meant to go shopping like with 3 hours prior to that, go and get like, normal life. And I was meant to carry on with my life. But as I say, he goes, oh yeah. So 5 hours later, I was like, okay, I better go and do some. And my brain seriously seemed to be having this kind of this meltdown, internal melt. And I was meant to be doing this shopping, and I was going around Tesco's, literally feeling as if I was in this completely different reality, because my brain was just like not wanting to accept it. But when these little things are pointed out to you, you're like, well, yeah, of course. That does, yeah. Why have I never questioned it before? And it just makes so much more logical sense to think of it that way. Let's say, but my brain was in this turmoil the whole day. And I honestly could have cursed him for it. I really, really could have cursed him for telling me. And then he obviously gave me a few other details about like, he questioned dinosaurs and things like that. And so, yeah, that was the day he told me. And I think it was about a month later of doing not much else apart from researching it, just watching videos, going into sort of like a trance. Hold on a second. You okay? So, little boy, yes? You drank too much water? Never mind, that's okay.
Oh.
Shut the door for me, Cody. No. So, yeah, about a month later, as I say, I seemed to really get into it, and I was just craving more and more knowledge. But it's quite something to go through. It really is, a battle in your mind into thinking, oh, well, all that you've believed previously and what you've been told, it questions everything. And I spent years of my life reading books and listening, having this whole belief system and your reality of what you think to be true completely and utterly questioned. And it really does leave you completely lost. And you're just like, well, what is real anymore? What is real? What can you trust? Can you trust your eyes? Can you trust your ears? Can you trust your senses? Because you look outside and people say, well, yeah, you can see the curve, and it's not the curve. You go through all this. So yeah, that sort of wraps it up in a nutshell. I think that was over a year ago.
I remember a part of your video that you were saying, like, you were like battling it, and it was like you live right by the sea, so you couldn't get away from it. Look out the window every morning, it's flat.
Yeah, it's to be honest, I think after, so that was in October, after a few months I seemed to sort of come to terms with it to a certain degree. And I started seeing the funny side of it. So like every time I'd see something on TV, or you look out your window, as I said, upstairs, my upstairs bedroom got a beautiful view of the sea, and you're looking out on every single day, and it is completely flat. There is no curve, and it's staring you in the face. And then you look up and you look out your window and you see the moon traveling around. It is so blatantly obvious in your face, but because you've been told otherwise, and somebody has turned around to you from a really young age and told you live on a globe, you just accept it. So why do we accept things just because we're told something? Why not question it? Why not question, your reality? I don't know.
And not given an alternative, are we?
Yeah.
At school, on the television, anywhere, we're not given an alternative. And then everybody goes, oh, it's true because I saw it on the television.
Oh, don't the question. I had on my family.
It got us completely programmed. Even I didn't, and then it just hits you and you just go, oh my goodness, now I know what all this is about.
Yeah.
I bet you're a sensitive person too, aren't you, Sarah?
Oh, I'm a very, very, very sensitive person, incredibly sensitive. But I think I'm growing mature enough to be able to not let certain things get to me anymore.
But it changes everything, doesn't it? Once you realise that we're just living in this total lie, and it's not just one little thing by accident. This is a completely planned, horrible thing we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you? Sorry, Eddie. Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
I was going to say, you know how you go through these various different stages. It's not a mourning; it is a mourning process to a certain degree. You go through denial. That is literally the first stage you'll go through of denying it, and that is hard to get past. So you go through denial, and then you go through this loss process because you have to accept what you've believed to not be true. So you have to accept it. Well, you have to accept it, but you have to sort of mourn for a reality that wasn't real. And it's like you go through this process, and then you feel completely and utterly cut off from everybody because they're all living in this alternative reality of where they live on a globe, and they feel completely insignificant to everything when it's not true. So that made me feel so cut off, even to my husband at the time, and I get so frustrated trying to have a conversation to him about it, and he's not interested. So that was a really, really hard stage to go through, feeling cut off and not having people to talk. The only person I had to talk to was my brother Philip. He was the only one I could speak to about it. But I say he wasn't sort of close by. It's only conversations on the phone. And then obviously I came across Dell's chat show, and sort of obviously came on there and started finding people to talk to. But it's still not quite the same as actually, it's like speaking to you guys now. That is helpful when you actually can see somebody's face or hear their voice and actually have like a conversation about it. But you end up feeling so cut off.
What does your mum say? Does your mum into this? Not into this?
I mean, she's incredibly open-minded. She's a very, very, very spiritual person. My mum is, and so I can talk to her all day. But she's not what you call a flat earth. She just says, well, this is her. She's got her own beliefs, and I've got my own way of looking at things and stuff, and that's fine. So I can speak to her about it, but it's not the same as having a conversation with a flat earther where you can go, we're both on the same page here. So.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think you're in your family and you're talking with them, and we trust each other, and then you mention flat earth and then they don't trust you at all.
Yeah, I had my family come up for Christmas. They're funny. My nephew, bless him, he's at an age where he's starting to obviously question the world around him, and he knows, and I've spoken to him in the summer about this, that he's in this sort of, well, I've got a friend and he's been up to space, and not an actual, but he went up into, or not a friend, or apparently it's somebody he knows, or oh yeah, and he's got a family and he went up to in one of those rockets up really, really high. He can't be lying. And you're like, well, yeah, he can. People can lie if they're made to if they're paid enough. People can't. So you know, you had these conversations and you go round and round and round in circles. And then my sister, she thought it was quite funny, and she just laughs. And that used to really, really upset me when people would laugh, you know, sort of ridicule you. But I'm sort of past that stage now. I'm at the stage where I think, well, that's really up to them.
Sarah, they laugh at you.
Again.
In reality, they want to believe that they're going in 3 different directions, 1,000 miles anti-clockwise with the moon, and the other 2 are with the sun, and it adds up to like 260,000 miles an hour doing Mach 88. And then they think you need to go and see a doctor.
So you have to get past that stage, don't you? It's just like, wow. If that's the reality that you want to believe in, then crack on at it. But that's just not where I'm at. I'm obviously, you know, somewhere different to you guys.
Even if you feel a little bit marginalised up in Scotland, way up there, this whole thing is a spiritual coming together.
Oh yeah.
That's what this whole thing. I mean, I've met some amazing people. We've had some amazing guests. And, you know, the one thing we often feel, because we feel it on the hangout itself, that we're connected and, you know, and sometimes we've had to, like, even like on the journey, learn more and more on a live hangout. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as you say, it is a spiritual awakening. That's for sure. Really, really is. On an individual basis as well as a whole.
Yeah.
And it is, and I think I realised that it is down to every single individual if they want to wake up and acknowledge it. But you can't force people. But that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to force people to wake, and you can't force people to acknowledge the truth around them. You just have to let them make their own minds up. You cannot. So.
Yeah.
I just find it. Oh, go on, you did.
It's okay, Carl. Go ahead.
Sorry, my darling. We're all trying to butt in. Sometimes there's a lot of us on. We're all trying to butt in. It's 3 of us doing it. Go on, you did.
It's interesting, Miss Sarah, now that you are, I don't know, awake, you can call it, that now that you know the truth, so you have children that they are going to the school, to the system, and they teach them lies. This is a big challenge now. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do you know something else? Do you know something? Even in the shops, if you buy a globe, on the bottom there's a sticker which says that this you it's not you cannot use it for educational purposes. Because I mean, even on the bottom of a globe, if you go and buy one,
I like to tell you,
it's in your face.
They have to cover their bases, don't they?
Okay, I give you something very simple to show them in the school. I picture with my camera Nikon P900, and Nikon P900 bring you the reality, the truth to your face. And when you watch the moon and the sun through Nikon P900 camera, so you can see the reality, you can see the truth. There is nothing in the moon, nothing at all. You see, and the sun not look like the sun that NASA give you.
No.
It's not the same, the CGI. But this camera, genius camera, bring you the truth to your face.
So true.
So you can use this. You can use this to show them. That's all. Show them the difference. You don't need to speak. It's a good first start.
Yeah.
Judith has filmed quite often what the sun and the moon look like they're coming in and out of the sea. It's where it's just manifesting in our perspective bubble at that point. But it's actually like on the top of the sea, and you can see like these really weird shapes it makes, and it only starts becoming round when it's actually sort of going up in the sky. And
really?
Yeah, it's not really going into the sea or coming out of the sea.
No, but it's like an illusion.
Just there. And Judith can pick it up on her camera. Those cameras can only see for so many miles. It's
No, it makes you
crazy.
question. Yeah, I know. It makes you question what you're actually seeing. But yeah,
Yeah, you know,
I sorry, you did go on.
my grandson, I love to say, to tell this story. My grandson is 6 years old, and when I show them the moon, so he asked me, Grandma, where is the spaceship? I tell him it's not exist. It's only in the movie. It's not in reality. So you see, so genius. Immediately, he looking for this spaceship in the moon. It was very funny. Yeah.
Funny.
I actually think it's treason to do this to the people. I mean, now with all the knowledge I know, it's almost as if we're in an open prison. Because
That's exactly what. Well, my opinion, I think we are in a prison, but that's an opinion all to itself. So, yeah, it's a prison in your mind as well as physically.
I can't believe the lies. This isn't by accident. This isn't just one mistake. And I mean, the NASA thing is disgusting.
It's laughable. It's laughable now, especially when people you look at that. Oh, that's just a laughable. Yeah.
Yeah, laughable. It's the correct. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't generally actually hold an actual conversation when somebody starts talking about space or anything like that. It used to anger me, but now I just can't keep a straight face and I just start laughing. And I know I shouldn't, because that's what they're doing to, people are laughing at me, but it seems to be like a reaction of this. Jesus, can't really. Right. Especially when they come back with, oh yeah, but you can see on TV, they've shown us on TV, you've seen it all the time. There you go. You can see on your phone and your TV.
Fall in love with space.
I did. I was so on board with that. I
Yeah,
love
me
the space
too.
idea.
Me too.
I love the idea of there being other planets and like people coming here to save our asses. And I don't know if that's a swear word, but I love that idea of people going, oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
people
So,
coming here and they're going to free us from this world that we live in.
yeah.
And I was so on
Yeah.
board with
What
that.
about E.T. phone home?
Yeah. I was well on board with life on Mars and and the moon, that they're like landing on the moon, and there's possibility there's a dark side to the moon, that there's all these various bases on the other side. Oh, that was my world, man. That was my completely ruined.
I must admit myself, about 6 months ago, I went to look at some of this NASA footage and I just couldn't believe it. I've got videos myself out on sun and moon, with paused astronauts. There's supposed to be Bowen and what's her name's first trip outside, and basically one's moving around and the other one is frozen, completely frozen, which means it's not live. They weren't together. It's CGI and it's fake. And then it was like,
I've seen them.
How much? Like when they touch the thing, it's like material. Like they actually touch like all the wires.
You know what, right?
The noises.
The thing is, right? It's a fantasy, right? People live in a fantasy world of believing that they live on a globe in a galaxy, the far reaches of whatever system you want to. That is a fantasy that people buy into, and that's all it is, because you're watching it on TV, you're being told it through your phone or on the internet, and all that is a digital form that you're believing into. That's what it is. If you were to look at it with your own five senses, and I will be honest here, even I don't trust myself anymore, but that's my own thing. That's another separate thing altogether. But to base your reality on what you see around you, on what you can see, hear, feel, touch, etc., you cannot say to somebody, oh yeah, I live on a globe, because as you say, you put it back down to basics, which Dale's always gone on about, in natural science, etc. But at least I know the difference between a fantasy world and reality. And that's what I think that frustrates me with people nowadays, is they won't even acknowledge that they're living a fantasy. It's separating what is truth and what isn't. So that's what sort of pulled me into sort of writing what I said to you earlier on. That's what I started, these writing and reading. You delve into books these days, and at least I know it's fiction and it's fantasy, and I'm not trying to believe in a whole world that doesn't even exist. So yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, well, I call it a form of communism when they've done that, subversion, because if they have to go that far to lie to the people and make people believe that space exists and we're going up there, what is that? That's making people believe in a complete false reality. So that's taking your freedom away. I'm not saying we've woken up, so we understand that, but I just wish out there would wake up more, because out there it's like zombies.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating. But of course, then, obviously, that's why I made this channel, because the idea was to try and bring people together, bring people who had ideas on maps, whatever it was. There's more ways. Like yesterday, I put up, because we're so reliant on the supermarkets, and it is actually really easy to grow microgreens. You don't even need any land. You just put them on your windowsill. Because lots of people live in apartments and now, don't they, and flats. So they don't have a garden. So grow these things on a windowsill. But then that's the other thing, is they've made us live in apartments. We're human beings with electrical pulses. We need to earth ourselves on the land, put our feet on the ground. And most people every day are not earthing themselves at all. And we need to earth ourselves for our health. They've lied about, they've said the sun's really bad for you. Well, it isn't. We need those sun rays. It's like food for our body, our soul. And they've told you it's bad. Like, I have a friend who's got lupus. They've told her not to go and sit in the sun. And yet when I watch these doctors, when they talk about cancer and all these diseases, they tell the people to go and sit in the sun. And yet she's been listening to the GP doctor telling her not to, because it's bad for her. I mean, actually, it'd be much better if she did go and sit in the sun.
Oh, so they're telling that it's not good for her to sit in, but she needs...
Yeah. But she doesn't believe that earth, so she's not going to listen to me, is she? She's going to listen to the doctors.
Very true. I don't know.
And I just think it's so sad for us. I mean, like Judith would like to go to the police over NASA, wouldn't you, Judith?
Yeah, because when your neighbor steals from you, you go to the police. They steal from us. We should go to the police. Yeah, simple, very simple. All of us together in the same day, the same moment. And let the media know about this. Yeah, we should do something, of course. Enough talk about this. Yeah, because
and I mean,
imagine Donald Trump sign and give money still, you see, to build I don't know what in Mars. So they continue, they don't stop, and they let us know about this. So yeah,
another member of Sun and Moon Art. He's not here at the moment, but he was showing us some pictures last night. They're all cartoon, but NASA want people to sign up to go to Mars and go farming.
You know what? I've got a small theory behind what they're doing, but it's honestly way out there. It's way out there, but I'm trying to include my theories and my ideas in. It's a fictional book. Remember I said to you, it's a fictional book, right? It's a fantasy fictional book.
Yeah, just explain to people what you're doing then. Explain to people what you're doing, because they told me, but you haven't told, like, on the Hangout. So explain what you're doing.
So yeah, I'm just writing. Well, it's not a novel. I'm writing a set of books, and I'm probably going to write about at least half a dozen of them before I start publishing them, because I might change the plot story. But what I want to do is get this information, as much of it out there as possible. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell it as fiction, as a fantasy, because what I notice is people are more open to the idea when you put it to them as fantasy, as opposed to truth. So if you can say to somebody, oh yeah, it's just a story, well, it's not really reality, and you get it through to them, when it's then presented to them as truth, they're more open and susceptible to it. That's my idea. So what I'm going to do is the story that I'm writing is based on my reality, which is a flat Earth and a flat plane. And you've all obviously, what I think is to be true is you've got the ice circle, which is the Antarctic Circle, that obviously encompasses our plane. And if you can get past that, there are more land outside of it. So that's what I'm basing it on, is that there is more land outside of the ice circle. And then you've also got the North Pole, which isn't the North, there's no bloody pole up there. But from what I've gathered and what I've heard from a guy who did he's got another tutor, I can't remember his name, but he says there's land at the very, very North Pole. If you can get there and you can, whatever, he's did a really long video on it. And if you can get there, that you can actually go inside of Earth, if that makes sense. You can actually go inside, and there's actually there's like an area deep within the Earth, like another world within our world. Does that make sense? Am I making no sense to you guys here?
Yes.
So, but so I'm basing it on what I heard from this particular guy. So that will be part of it. I don't want to tell you too much of the story plot. So what I think is, I'm going back to what you said, Judith, or was it yourself, Mary? You said that they're going to fly people to Mars. What I think they are doing, right, is I think they are flying people outside the ice circle to lands outside of here, right? So that there are other lands that exist, and that is where they're flying. So they're telling people, oh yeah, we're flying you to Mars. They're not. They're flying them to lands outside of the ice circle.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're doing.
Interesting. Yeah.
So,
Sarah, can you call it Agartha?
Say that again.
Agartha.
What do you mean, Judith?
Agartha, Shambhala. No.
Not sure what you mean, Judith. Just to explain that Judith has taught herself English through watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
Not sure what you mean.
Shambhala, Agartha, it's the place of, there is like Avatar, the heaven.
Are you talking about the inside? Are you talking about the world inside of?
Yes.
You're talking about the world inside.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I have actually got a name for it. So say I've got a.
Yeah, in the heart of the heart.
Because
it's the North Star. Show you the North Pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, I don't know if you guys had heard. I don't know his name because he's Russian. I don't know his name. I can't read Russian, so I can't speak Russian. But there is a guy who did a video on no forest and flat Earth. You guys heard of it?
Russian
vids.
vids.
Yeah. Do you know him? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I know.
People say he's gone very quiet at the moment, but yeah.
Yeah. He's a mass inspiration. He's inspired. I mean, I have no idea if I'm like copywriting stuff here because I'm sort of taking ideas. But I did tell the guy, I says to him that I would be writing books. I would be writing stuff based on his videos. I says I would do that because I think his stuff needs to be shared. I mean, everybody when they watch.
Sarah.
Yeah.
I don't need to ruin it a little bit for you. I mean, you obviously you're doing your research, but Artist, who's in the chat room, obviously he's busy right now, but another member of this group did this stuff on electrical arkings, okay, and then Artist has carried it on. It seemed at some point we had these huge, great electrical arkings where it hit in and it came out, a positive and a negative. Now, when that happens, electrical arkings, huge, great electrical arkings, not now, hundreds of years ago. And what it would have done was anybody in its path would have been atomized. It would have been worse than what they've told us nuclear bombs are like. Right, what happened was when it hit the land, it caused like a sort of kinetic energy, a bit like when you're in a tornado where it smashes things up and it also moves things.
Right.
When that happened, it hit the land and it made the mountains. So in seconds, this land came out of the ground. And this is how the Grand Canyon was caused. through these huge,
Oh,
great electrical arcings. They are huge. And of course, what do they look like? They look a bit like tree stumps. But what it is you can see
right.
land on the top of the mountains. A lot of these top mountains are flat. And basically, I suppose I'm probably going to get this wrong. An artist will probably tell me in the chat room. But say the positive one pushed the land up, and the negative pushed the land down.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's.
And then the trees grow around the positive
Wow.
one, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trees because it's so rich.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't mind
That's
sharing those
interesting.
videos with you, or you come on a hangout where artists will explain a bit again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, wow, that's actually interesting. Very, very, yeah. No, I've not heard that one. Not heard that one before.
And the thing is that it smashed things up. I mean, and the other thing is that there were thousands of pyramids which have been destroyed, whether it was through these electrical arcings. Maybe those electrical arcings caused the big flood, because if they were happening because they went across land, this would have been disastrous. It would have caused all sorts of problems. And destroyed so much. But I mean, we just don't know, because we don't even know who the pyramid people are, and they seemed a lot more advanced than we were.
Yeah, well, again, I think this goes, I think this probably isn't going to come across well with everybody, but again, is you have to, I question everything now. I don't take anything because somebody tells me, even like they said this, I know what is fiction, I know what is reality. And reality is what I can see around me today. Fiction is anything that you can't prove. So when you're talking about history to do with anything that's prior to your own life, you have to then question where you're getting that sort of information from. And I don't know about you, but like if you in school, when I was learning, doing history lessons and stuff like that, I'm going off topic a little bit. I don't know if I'm going off topic here or not, but
no, carry on. We've asked you to come and talk. It's fine.
Yeah, it seems like the history teacher will be talking to you about World War One and World War Two, for example. None of it ever made any sense to me, and it just, like, obviously names and stuff, and it just never made logical sense about these wars, and something never ever sat right with me. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're being told something about your history, regardless of how much information on your sources, even if they do sort of measure up, you always have to bear in mind you're being told that from a second source, and it's not from your own eyes. So what I'm saying is, I question now even all I've been told about pyramid, as you say, the pyramids, how they were made, how old are they and stuff like that. So I do question how old they are. Are they actually as old as we're being told? Are they actually, our history, how much of our history had been manipulated? Because at the end of it, what it comes down to is, if we've been told that the world is a globe, and we've been fed that for how long have we been being fed that the world is a globe for? What is that, a couple of hundred years now?
Do you want
500 years?
Actually,
Okay.
it's not, Judith. Remember, artists has done this on Sun and Moon. It was in the 60s.
Okay.
It's only since the 1960s they turned us into a ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you were around the 1900s, you'd have grown up knowing you were on a flat plane, and then Tesla had been around, and then everybody was making these electrical cars, which basically ran for free energy. They could run for hours, and they actually got them to go over 100 miles an hour up until about 1918. Then, of course, we get the First World War and the Second World War. And I also, like you, have changed my mind. They had to destroy Europe's infrastructure. They had to, just like they're doing it in the Middle East and everywhere else they go. And then once they destroyed the infrastructure, coming out of that, we got television, then we got oil, petrol, and then we got the globe. And even the time savings for each country, because obviously we get 2 a year in March and October, they weren't anything to do with the weather and all that. They were to make us shop more. Yeah. So in the 1960s, they did it. And then you imagine all this indoctrination. I'm not saying that maybe there weren't books that questioned it, but there was newspaper articles in the 1900s that said if you went out and said, we live on a ball, you went to prison. They sent you to prison. And
Yeah,
none
I
of this is in
remember.
the public eye. Artists has had to hunt for this. And actually, they talk about flat Earth right up until the 1990s, and then suddenly nothing.
Wow.
But you have to hunt for it. And artists has shown us. We have a. Well, I suppose he talks about it other nights. On a Sunday, we have ancient metholithic structures or whatever that is, pyramids, you know, the history, stuff like that. And then artists will come on and he said 1922, he said it must be something he's listening behind. Anyway, basically
Sarah,
just so lied to. Only since the 1960s, they really turned us into a ball. And look how people talk to us. Look how much they're indoctrinated.
See, that in itself, Mary, the fact
It's Karen.
is that people believe that Karen, where have I got Mary from? Is it because he's got Mary? Is that where I'm getting Mary from?
So not worry.
Is that where I'm getting it from? Oh well. Anyway, Karen. Is it's how easily our history is manipulated. That in itself makes me question everything. It makes me question. I won't take anything now that I'm told to be truth unless I can validate it for myself through my own sort of experiences.
Can I just tell you something? I live not so far away from this stone circle called Avebury, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a long barrow. Have you heard of it? And Silbury Hill. It's in Wiltshire. Well, Silbury Hill is a pyramid. It's in the pyramid of the world now. Yeah, everybody living around here will just think it's a mound of earth, and it's a pyramid. And we've had this guy called John Cowie on, who's written books and stuff. And basically, he thinks it's one of the first pyramids of the world. Can you believe it? And it links to the Great Giza pyramids.
Wow.
It's like, what? It's like, what? I'm just so disgusted. Nobody around here who lives around here will know it's a pyramid because they don't go and look or investigate or understand or whatever.
No.
Don't you think that's terrible? I think it's so terrible. And listen, there's another one in Marlborough. It's called Merlin's Mound, and they've built around that one. They've built houses around it. Step pyramid. It's much smaller than Silbury Hill, but it's there. And then Silbury Hill used to resonate with the one in Marlborough, and it's like, what?
Wow, that's interesting.
So, yeah, it's all a lie. Everything.
Yeah.
Sarah, I'd like to ask you, how's your sky?
My sky?
Yeah.
It's pretty, actually, it's not like it is down in England.
Okay, but do you see the airplane in your sky?
Do I see the what?
Airplane spraying the sky.
No, we don't. You know what? It literally, I could count on one hand the amount of times I have ever seen one of those up here.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
You don't have any airports near you, though, do you? Oh, no. Sarah! I think we've just lost Sarah.
Yeah, she'll be back. She'll be back in a minute.
I'll just do the link for her again because I might have to add her. I'm not sure if she got on like through the link.
Yeah.
Ah, so annoying. She's talking away and then the internet has to drop. Let me just find her email address and add her back. Just when we were getting into that.
Yeah. Give her a minute. You might come back.
You may not even realise she's not there. Sometimes people are talking away and don't even realise that they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Damn.
Maybe you can
There she is. She's gone now. Hopefully she'll be back now because she'll realise that she's gone.
Can you let us see the video of Sarah? Karen, maybe.
I can, but it's probably best if I just play it. She's sitting on the beach because you know what my internet's like. I don't have a brilliant internet, but I can play it till she comes back. So I will do that then. I would just find the video.
Can't even see it.
Oh, if you just give me a moment, I would play it. She's sitting. Right, that's me. I don't understand why my live feed went on then. I'll just find the video of Sarah and hopefully she comes back. So just give me a moment to actually get it up there. So, you did. Explain to people what you've been doing today then with your sunspots.
Oh, last night I pictured the sunset, and there is, I see the sunspot, incredible. So this morning, the weather, I have a cloud in the sky, so I didn't was sure if it's good to go out 5 o'clock in the morning, so cold. And if I realize to picture sunrise, and I go out and I picture sunrise, and I see the sunspot again in the morning. And I usually I see the sunspot in sunset only. It was a surprise for me to see it in the morning. And yeah, so I make a video if somebody like to see the videos. So yeah, they can go to my channel.
Maybe you can put the link in the chat, in the live chat. I've sent you the link for the live chat. Maybe you can put it in there. What do you reckon then, Yulia? I play the video, I just play her talking. Not sure what to do because I just don't want to. Let me just make this smaller on my page then.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to have a go at sharing it so everybody can see Sarah talking about how she became a flat earther for now till she comes back.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, there she is.
Yes.
Yay! I was just about to play your video. Hang on now.
Oh, crack on. The fuse trip, so it switched the internet off. So, oh no.
So, yeah, you said you have a clean sky, smile sky.
I do.
Yeah, good.
I was saying that I could only myself. I think I can only count on one hand. I can count the amount of times that I've seen a plane spraying, and I really don't even think that.
But you know,
Times, and that's in about.
Sarah, can I just say one thing to you? It's a little bit choppy now you've come back,
Yeah.
but if you take your picture off, that will save your bandwidth. And then just take we've seen who you are. Thank you so much. We know you're a real asset.
Just get rid of your face. Just here you go. How's that?
Perfect.
Yeah, good.
Well, lucky
Cool.
you then, because basically I'm sure they're harping us. These really weird clouds turn up here. And also I look out sometimes and there's just a grid above me.
Wow.
It's horrible.
Yeah, no, they don't do that. As I say, it's really windy. Point. There would be no point in them doing it here. I must admit that you get some really weird skies. So just because they're not spraying us, it doesn't mean that we're not getting affected, because obviously the wind then carries it across.
Exactly.
I can actually ask you this as well, because I have a friend called Malk. He also has bandwidth problems, but he's sort of on the left part of Scotland, but like up in hills, more the island side, the other side, left.
Yeah.
From here. But people don't understand. You get in the summer light a lot longer than us, don't you?
Yeah, it doesn't actually get, well, in Orkney it doesn't get dark. So if you like my mum's island, she lives on Strong. you can actually see the sun skims across the horizon. It does not actually get dark. Here, I think it gets maybe for an hour or so, you would want to call it dark, but even then it doesn't actually truly get dark enough that you wouldn't be able to see outside. So yeah, we get a whole, like, it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, because I've just got this feeling that because me and Malk used to do panorams, and of course it'd be dark here, and I'm not saying he had completely blue sky, but he's getting dark, whereas we're dark. It's almost as if we're lying on our side a bit, and that really Scotland should be in another time zone, an hour behind us.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd think so. That's what, I mean, to be honest, something always sat at the back of my head. I've always thought that. Well, logical thinking.
I mean, it's
You
the other
think
way
so?
around in the winter, isn't it? Because you have even less light than me in the winter, but in the summer you have more light than me in the summer.
Yeah, it starts getting light around about 7:45 in the morning, 8 o'clock maybe. In the depth of winter, it's still dark. In the depths of winter, like December and January, it doesn't actually start getting really light until about 8:30. You start actually seeing some proper light. And then it gets dark about 4 o'clock, so you don't actually get very much light. And in Orkney, it's even more so.
Really?
But
that's about the same time as us in the winter.
Yeah.
Because we get dark about 3:30 here.
Well, but then again, there's different reasons as to why you're getting dark. There's darkness because you've got a lot more cloud cover. If you're saying that you're getting sprayed a lot, then perhaps you're not getting the full amount of sun through it, as we would be up here.
Right.
I just don't know why I said that. That's sort of what come to me just now, as I say. So.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But in the summer, I've been to Denmark, and I saw the sun. Do you see the sun at night?
It skims the horizon in Orkney. You can see it actually skimming around. It doesn't actually go. It doesn't disappear in Orkney.
Yeah, that's what I saw in Denmark. For them, it only happens for say 3 or 4 weeks of the year, maybe a month, 6 weeks, whatever. It's a short period of time. The sun goes across the sky at night, but you see it. What? How many weeks do you see that for then?
Oh God, I've no idea. In summer, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. I see it too in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say much. I don't know. I'd have to look. My mum would know. She knows.
That's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, I wonder what Greenland's like then. In the summer.
Well, it's beautiful. I bet it's beautiful.
Lots of people don't realise the difference in England between Scotland and like the rest of England.
And it's such a small space as well. It's like England isn't exactly big in comparison to the rest of the countries in the world.
No, I know, like
it's tiny, but there's a massive difference.
Yeah. But then it's good to talk to people like you, because then people realise that Scotland is totally different to the UK in the summer. Like, it just has massive more light. And I think really that in the summer you should be, but that means you'd have to go 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? You'd have to go 2 hours ahead.
Is the difference? I mean, there's not exactly a lot of mileage between the difference between here in Wick and in Orkney. You're talking literally. God, actually, I don't want to say how many miles it would be. I don't know, 30 miles, 60 miles, something stupid like that. It's not far, but the difference in sunlight between here and Orkney is different. It's a huge difference. So it's really weird.
Yeah, somebody went, like, obviously I don't live in Cornwall and stuff like that. They went on holiday in Cornwall, and the time it changed. It was different there than here.
Yeah.
I mean, we get quite a difference here. I don't know what it is about us, the UK. I mean, I see the Big Dipper going round corners up past my house. It goes almost right round my house. Have you seen the Big Dipper do what it does? It stretches out and changes directions.
No,
if you don't, amazing.
Yeah. You know what I do find really, really, I don't know if you guys you can actually see much stars like of a night time where you guys are. Can you see many of them because you've got a lot of light pollution?
I lived in the country before I came here, and with no street lights. And I know what you're going to say. There are
Well,
millions of them.
it's actually what I was going to say. I don't know. What about you, Judith? Can you see them from where you are at night?
Oh yes, I go especially to north to the mountain or to south to the desert, and then I can see the star until the ground.
Right. I don't know if
Yeah,
you guys,
and the
if you guys
Milky
can
Way.
actually. I don't know if you guys can actually ever try doing this. Maybe you might need to go camping or something. This is going to sound ridiculous, but if you was to fall asleep under the stars, right, and then when you open your eyes, they look really different from when you've just woken up. As if you were to if you were to walk outside your back door at night time and you look at the stars, they look completely different to as if you've fallen asleep and you open your eyes to them. They look different, and I can't
Interesting.
explain it. Hmm?
Interesting.
Yeah, because we've got massive windows. You see, like what you've got gable windows upstairs. So when I wake up of a night time, I'm looking out. They look different. There's like a different
Bright,
yeah.
more
I can
bright.
actually see they're like the colours. They look a different colour, and they I don't
Yes.
know how to explain this in words,
Sarah,
but they
Sarah,
yeah.
if you go to my channel in
Uh-huh.
YouTube, I picture the star, I picture Venus, and you can see all this color and the wave of the star.
Yeah,
It's
I'll have a
beautiful.
look.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something else as well, Sarah. They're only miles up.
Yeah, they're not. I can tell you, there's something definitely, something definitely dodgy going on up there. That's totally dodgy. I don't know.
I think they start at about 15 miles up.
You think so?
Yeah, 15
Yeah.
miles. We had a researcher who's into free energy, Weedy and the Doc, and he was working for an electricity company, and he was having to do experiments for them, and he was using scalar waves, and the scalar waves came back, and what he's kind of worked out is that the firmament is about 60 miles up when it starts, and everything is inside that. The sun, the moon, and the stars are inside that. So far,
Yeah.
he see it as a frequency. He's not sure if it's hard, solid, whatever, but it's definitely a frequency. And that, like, all the electricity companies know what we're living in. It's disgusting, isn't it? It's just disgusting.
It's a fantasy. That's for sure.
Yeah, but then I suppose they'd have to tell us the truth, wouldn't they? They'd have to redo everything.
Yeah,
And they're working so hard on the globe right now.
today somebody put in my Facebook in my picture of the sunspot. He put a picture, NASA picture, and he showed me a little ball, and he tell me, "This is you. You live here." So I tell him, "No, no. We are a tomb in womb. We live in Mother Earth,
Yeah.
and the water are flat forever."
Uh-huh.
So he liked it. He liked it very much.
And in reality, we wouldn't be able to see something light years away, would we? And
No,
they're trying to make it.
I know.
And how can you
It's just,
measure something like this? Yeah.
if you could catch it on a P900 camera, they can only see for maybe in focus. When they spot land at maybe 100 miles away, it's in the distance and it's not in focus, but they can still just capture land. But if you've got a star completely in the focus in a P900 camera, they can only see for maybe 25, 30 miles. If it's in focus, it's telling you.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Yeah, crazy. What's your guy you was talking to me about earlier? What was his name? The guy you said was talking
We'd
about.
in the dock, but I think he's taking a little bit of a break at the moment. But yeah, we've been
Sorry,
talking. Yeah, he's been He's into free energy.
Artist, maybe artist.
No,
Oh,
the guy, yes, him. What's his?
Yeah.
Artist.
Would you get him to like drop me a message, because that sounds really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah, because I don't know if he'd be willing. Like, I might pull those ideas into this book I'm writing. As I said to you, I'm very aware that you can't take anything to be fact unless you can prove it with your own eyes, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull these ideas together to open people's minds and opinions. So I'm not going to try to put something out there and say, well, this is what I think to be true. I'm just trying to get ideas out there to people to open their minds up to a possibility that what they're seeing isn't what they've been told. So I don't know if we want, play with those ideas with them.
I'm sure he will. He doesn't mind things like that. He spent a lot of time. He spent a lot of time researching this. Pictures. He may be able to come on. He's working at the moment, because obviously Wednesday's usually a day off for us, because we're on like 5 days a week, and by the time we have the afternoon out, it's almost like 24 hours. But he may be able to pop on and even talk to you about it. I'll just message him and see what he's doing. But we have videos on Sun and Moon. I could find you a few links with him talking.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what he says.
1 second. Right, I've messaged him now. Yeah, it's a bit of an eye opener, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an interesting. I'm going to call it an idea. That's an interesting idea about the weapons that could have been used, and I wonder if it could have been. What does he say? Who was using? I don't know if I'm using the right word. Weapon. Who did that? Who were these?
Well, originally, this guy called Chris Monk was doing it, right?
Yeah.
And he noticed that a lot of these ancient civilizations were wearing these headdresses. Yeah. And he's wondering whether they were seeing these rings in the sky and not realize quite what they were doing. And eventually, when they arced, just destroyed everything. But I mean, we can't tell whether that's 500 years ago, 600 years ago, thousands of years ago, because none of us can tell now how old our history is. Yes. But the one thing that the artist noticed was anything you see with a structure with huge, great lumps of granite is the oldest. And then over time, everything got smaller. And the next lot mended some of these pyramids. The next lot mended some of these ancient structures as best they could. And everything that they were using got smaller. And he's done a few presentations explaining how, look, this was the original. Look at the size of those. Then they mended it with this. So they're still quite big, but they're smaller. And in the end, they're mending them with like rubble.
Right. I see.
So we've probably been reset 3 or 4 or 5 times already. There's been other generations of people, and then they've gone. And maybe the electrical arkings did it, because it would have atomized you. If we were caught in those, we'd all be dead. And then, of course, it ripped everything up. He's a little bit busy right now, but I can send you the
No, it's really interesting. No, that's
thing is, as you know, with the bandwidth, if I start playing anything of his right now, it probably wouldn't play very well, because my computer, I don't know if you've noticed it, the internet goes on, lulls, and it's happening for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when it lulls, it's not going to play the video very good. And of course, we're on a Hangout, which takes quite a lot of the bandwidth.
Yeah.
I can definitely
send me some links through. Yeah, definitely send me some links through. But that's the kind of information that I was hoping to try to add into the book that I'm writing. So that type of thing.
I could just see if I could play something to give you an idea, but then but that means that you two are going to have to keep talking for a bit while I go and hunt for it. Do you want to do that? Because I have to mute myself.
You have to mute yourself.
Okay. I mute myself, but you two ladies keep talking. You unmute yourself and talk.
Where are you going?
Just give me a minute, see if I can do it.
Hi, Judith.
Okay. Hi, Sarah. It's
So
so good.
what is it you do? What is it you do in your your 9 to 5 life?
I tell you, I picture a lot. I'm outside 24/7.
Are you?
Yeah, I picture the sun, the moon, a lunar rise, lunar set, Venus rise, Venus set, and the stars, and the bird, nature, everything. It's interesting. From my point of view, I give to everybody with my pleasure, with much love, and a lot of patience because nature show me his glory, and I'm just waiting, and there he is. Tell me, picture me like this, and now picture me like this, and now you see, like a child, they show me his glory, and I knack with my nickel. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
you what? Sorry, you click with your Nikon? Is what you
Yeah,
just said?
on my
You
nickel,
take
I
pictures?
love it. Yes. And I
Yeah.
also, when I'm traveling Israel, I make a live video in Facebook, and I show you um, everywhere I travel. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I let everybody see my point of view. This
Yeah,
is
that's what you've got to
this
do.
is
Share
your
your
world.
experience.
This is your world. This is our world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No matter what if it's the name Israel or Lebanon or Syria, this is our world.
Very,
Yeah,
very true. No,
it's created for
it's good.
us. This is our garden, and
It's certainly
I
there's certainly a
challenge,
lot of beauty left in the garden in this world that we live in, but there's also a lot of horror, I suppose. A lot of horror
yeah,
around us that people
yes.
would prefer not to see, turn a blind eye to it. But
Mhm. So yeah, that's what I love to picture the Father Goddess and Mother Goddess creation, and it's
so
beautiful.
have you heard of this inner world? Because when I said that earlier on, you picked up on it and you said that you've heard of it before. This world inside of the world that we
Uh-huh,
live on.
yeah, yeah. Yes, it's come from India, from Bhagavad
Yes,
Gita.
yes, I'm
Bhagavad
right. I've
Gita.
I've heard of India. Yeah, I've heard them to know of it.
That's
Yeah.
right. So they speak about this place and the big tree that exists there, the only tree, the last one. And
It was the last one. It was or is?
is, there
It is
is.
the last.
It is like
Yeah,
the movie Avatar. You see the
yeah,
same
yeah.
idea, and
So true.
yeah. But to connect this place, the way I see it, it's you need to be there ready when you are here right now. You need to be in this place in spiritual, um, and not to be contact with materialism so
Day,
much.
that's exactly it. Yes, spot
Yeah,
on. That's
and
exactly what I'm.
they will
Yes,
send
yes, spot
you,
on, Unit. Yes, yes,
they
spot
will
on,
send
spot
you a
on.
message, and they will
Yes,
show you the way to come,
yes,
and they
yes,
will
spot
send
on.
you the knowledge
Yep,
and everything. You just need to listen and connect and
yep.
yeah, and
That's
focus.
exactly that's the direction of what I'm getting
Yes,
across to people as well. Is
uh, uh,
yeah.
Guess what? Guess what,
Hello,
Sarah? The
hello.
artist. I found it all, and artist said, "Give me 3 seconds. I'm coming."
yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love, I
You,
love,
you
love
have
it.
There he
time,
is. There's
Sarah.
the man.
Yeah, I've got, yeah, I'm good. I've got until like hubby starts coming home at like I have to move my butt in about an hour, otherwise I'll be in trouble.
Oh,
That's
oh.
okay. There's Artist. Artist, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Shepherd Marty.
Hello, Artist. Artist, this is Sarah.
Hello.
Sarah's writing a
Hello.
book. And what she's
Oh,
just
cool.
explained to us is she actually thought that maybe as we all like to live in a fantasy land, she's going to put it out as fiction, but really she's telling the truth. But now she's very interested because she got into this idea about there's no trees on flat Earth, but
Right.
actually you found it different. So she just wanted to understand a bit of what you were talking about, and you can show her.
I can show some pictures to her with my vision about it. It's not just a vision. Just like you
And
said,
Artist
I
is from
don't.
Germany, by the way. He's from Germany.
Sorry,
Yeah.
say again. Oh, right.
Artist is from Germany, and also Lev Kung Fu has joined us, and he's from England. So hi, Lev.
Hello, how you doing, Sarah?
Hi, how you getting on?
Yeah,
Hello.
sound good.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
like
by
your
the way,
Uh,
you don't know
I'm
Sarah.
loving
We have
your
someone else who
pictures.
comes on
Loving
who
your
said
pictures. Wow.
we're all dancers. We're all dancers here. Anyway, there you go. Artist has got them, so I'll just put it up for you. There you go.
Yeah. I will try to do it as short as possible. Basically, what you can see here is discharges in sand done in the early 1800s by Dr. C.J. Ransom. So he puts positive and negative charge in sand, and then you get these shapes. Well, you can already see that they look very similar to shapes you can find on the Earth.
Can I just ask, where is this picture from? Is this taken from?
These are pictures from a site that talks about the electrical discharge experiments Dr. C.J.
Yeah.
Ransom did.
Hi, it looks like the moon. It
Yeah.
looks like photos on the moon.
Basically, different kinds of sands, different
Right.
kinds of sands from different countries, and then
Okay.
put electrical discharges in them and just see how the reaction was. There was another guy, and this is also early 1800s, and it was William George Armstrong, and he did discharges, I think, on a granite plate. He put those powdered metals and powdered sand, and he mixed them and in different volumes and different percentages, and then the discharges in them, and you get these shapes, the positive and the negative discharge. You can see what happens. You can see that's magnetic. Just like you have metal shavings, and you put them on a magnet, you get also these kinds of shapes. And they are more. You can see the magnetic properties and the electric properties they are forming. Yeah, just a couple of pictures. You can see the shapes you get when you do those discharges in sand. This one is really interesting because actually, if you look at this very carefully, and you look at the human eye,
Oh yeah.
you can
Wow.
see a lot of similarity.
Mm-hmm.
Lot. And so I thought, well, it has to do with light, it has to do with electric, it has to do with magnetic things. And then this is probably you will have seen this. These are Lindenberg figures, just using a microwave transformer. You want to do this yourself, you can pour some Coca-Cola over it because that helps the charge get more easily through the wood. Interesting. And or any kind of soda. And you can see though you get those shapes in the wood by electrical discharge. And this is just another one. But if you look at the Earth, you can find the similarities. This is in Egypt, near Sudan, Niger. And you can see that around this electrical discharge. You can see here again that Lindenberg figure I showed in wood, and here's another one. So I thought, hey, there's no water over here. So how could this be formed? And actually, this mountain over here, you see it's rubble. It's turned into rubble. See? Just something struck this, and it turned into loose rubble.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. And here are some more. If you go to Egypt and just fly over Google Earth, you can find hundreds of these kind of shapes that look very similar to that. Here another one.
Very true. Yeah.
But if you look at mountains, you get those same shapes. And often they say, well, the water actually, because of the water flowing through those mountains, it actually formed this. But it could also be the other way around, that actually the discharge formed it, and then the water found its place there, because, yeah, it's the lowest part, so therefore the water flows to that lower place, that lower place. And then you can find these shapes all over the world, even in caves. This is the Jewel Cave National Monument. I think it's in a petrified forest, or Devil's Tower. Sorry, Devil's Tower. Yeah, and then you can see the same type of shape happening. Electrical discharges. So yeah, here's one in. It's actually, if you look at in Africa, it's like this, but I turn it upside down so you can see more a tree. Tree shape, and the water, yeah, naturally flows in there because it's lowered. So that makes sense. And it's also an energy line. So yeah, everything is always attracted to a certain energy line and point. But this
Right.
this is another one. This is the Goose in Australia. I can see the discharge and actually the ripple effect in the mountains happening. I'll zoom in a little bit. Here you can see, and again you see those Lindenberg figures here, and a ripple effect in the mountain range. And that was interesting. Here you can see that this looks very similar as those discharges in powdered metal and sand. Very similar. Here's another one that is basically, this is pushed into the ground, and this is pushed up. But
Right. Yeah.
And you can see that there's again a rim around it, just like an explosion. Whoop! You can see a rim around it pushed up mount. And actually here, if you look at mount, it looks like it was pushed up. Because the soil on top of this mount is exactly the same soil as the lower ground. And sometimes even there, you have the Grand Canyon, for instance, they found seashells on top of the Grand Canyon. So that's strange, because how would do this? Yeah, could be dropped by birds, but there are so many around. Can also be pushed out from the ground. It's just a possibility. This, can you see the distance? What is interesting, this lower one, you can see there's a lot of salt lakes. So what's often happening is that the surface that is pushed out of the ground is often rich of minerals, rich of soil, very fertilized soil, rich of iron. Most of the time, if you see those mountains, you can see that they are extracting material. This is near that place, very close to it. This is a gold mine, near Mount Connor. It's a Nicholson fine gold mine, so it's attracting minerals and metals often. You can see here a nice round shape with the trees in it. Most of the trees are in that crater over here. It's just another crater. It's the Wolf Creek crater. And again, close to that are mountains again that became rubble. It looked like they became rubble. And also in that area, you have those spherical stone balls. Every time close to those discharge areas, you have the spherical balls. And not one or two, no, hundreds often. And this is actually the petrified forest. You can see, this is here, that area of the petrified forest in the right lower corner. And actually all the mountains in that area are flattened. And indeed they look like tree stumps, but it is more logical to me that it was pushed out of the ground because of the discharge. Because you can see actually, when you do discharges in sand, it gets pushed up or pushed down. Depends on what kind of sand it is, depends on the negative and the positive side. And actually, if you look you can see they are completely flat on the top. That's interesting. And near that, you have that you can see those flattened mountains in the background. What I think that there were trees, and you can only see these kind of trees, not bigger ones, no, but basically mostly the size of a normal tree or a little bit bigger. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of animals were bigger in the history. So if it's true, actually, I don't know. But things were bigger. And then what's actually interesting, what could be there could be a forest, but because of the electrical discharge, so strong of a force, it turned everything into a petrified state. Just like you have a volcanic, you have in
The
one
volcanic
city,
eruption.
you have the volcanic ashes in a
Yeah,
city, and
which
that
actually makes
basically
sense.
petrified the people. They, I don't know exactly the place anymore, but I can see also it looks like you can see those flattened mountains in the big background, strange shapes, and it was yeah. My philosophy is that what happened there was actually a forest, but because of that electrical discharge force, it petrified everything that was in its way. You can see this is not sand, this is rock. It almost looks like it became a liquid at one point. Again, you see those flattened mountains in the background. And you can see actually here, this is a crater. This is a mountain that is pushed up, and the mountains in between are flattened. But if you look at the mountains more away from it, they have pointy tops. See, this is a normal mountain range. These are flattened. Why aren't these flattened? Because they are between those points. See? So
That's incredible.
what
That's
happened,
really, really cool. Yeah.
and it basically pushed up the surface. That is, this is the size of that crater I showed in that picture. That
Hmm.
you can have an estimate how big it is. It's not allowed to go there. It's fenced off. You can slightly see the fence here, but it's often the case they fence things off. Yeah, they probably don't want to find that you find things out for yourself. And this is that mount I showed. And again, most of the trees are in that area. That's often what happens because it's often, like I said, mineral rich or rich in the soil is enriched. You can see this is just a close-up. Also, those strange things on the Earth you can see on Easter Island here. So if you look over here, you have 3 dots in a row. That's not normal. It is clearly pushed out of the ground. And you have no plates, and actually it is swallowed by the sea a little bit, so maybe there are more even under the sea. Here, and this is again crater, and here you have the mount pushed up, so you have a pushed out positive and a pushed in negative. And you look very careful, it has the same shape as those discharges. If you look at this, it has a lot of similarity in it. Also, what is interesting, this is on Easter Island. Most of the people only think that those statues on the Easter Island only look towards the sea. No, these are looking in toward the crater. So these people who live there actually put these statues looking in toward the crater. So they probably, it was a secret place for them, or they had knowledge how it was formed, and therefore they put those statues looking in toward it because they want to honor it in some way. These are those pushed out. And you can see it here from the surface. This looks like it was pushed out. Just like Devil's Tower, basically. This is another side. You can clearly see that something struck this place. You can see this is pushed out. It's a little bit on an angle. You can see it's pushed out, and it's also weathered away. And then I will go, you can see the strikes on it. You say, yeah, that's weathering. Well, it's in all directions, so strange weathering pattern. And what is also interesting is actually it is on the strange holes that yeah, just like you have in sand, something happened, a very strong force. There's also, if you take a close look here, this is from a YouTube video. can you see this almost looks like a stair. This is very straight corners for weathering the stone. This is way too straight for weathering. So what could have happened that it was actually an ancient site, and it was struck by such a strong force that is beyond recognition. You can only make some small details of stairs, some very straight corners still that can't be formed by natural weathering. And you can see that everything is shattered all over the place. See how everywhere pieces are lying. You can see that often with ancient structures, that all the pieces are blasted from the side. And actually, if you look under this mount, there's your electrical discharge. Sometimes you can see it on the ground itself, that you can see those Lindenberg circuits, but sometimes it's actually under the ground. That whole Lindenberg discharge shape. And this is actually Devil's Tower that is pushed out of the ground, and then you have near Sundance a crater that is pushed in. You can see the distance between it, and probably also here you can see it on the surface. Probably a little bit over here. Maybe there's even caves under here, and there you can see the pattern. I have to look further into that. If this is Devil's Tower, you can see that hexagonal shapes. But if you look very close at the surface, luckily one guy did, you can see it's mineral rich. It's attracting mineral. And here, this is the same hexagonal shape. It looks like it. Also, when you have a garlic squeezer, you put in clay and you squeeze clay, you get the same shape. Just thought of it. And the bees are built in the same fashion, so it's a shape that is also natural. Bees make it. This is Devil's Tower, just a picture so you have an idea. And this is that crater near Devil's Tower. And again, where are all the trees in that area?
What did you just say? What did you say that's created Devil's Tower? Because the structure's so
I think
straight.
It was pushed out of the ground.
You think it's still pushed out of the ground, even though it's so the sides of it, so it's structure with so straight rigid edges to it.
Well, I think it's if you do the electrical discharge, just you get shapes. Also, when you have sound, probably saw those videos when people have a plate with sand and just put a certain frequency sound. You get all kinds of.
It's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
Sarah, this would have happened in minutes. These mountains were made in minutes, so you can only imagine the devastation it would have caused if there was people living.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering how you would. But when you say if you're working with sound waves, then you can make any sort of shape you want. So if you're working with vibration sounds, whatever this weapon whatever they were using, yes, you're right. They could have most definitely have made straight edges like that. Yeah.
And you can see also this pattern, it has a star pattern, see the pointy shapes. And if you look at the discharge in sand, you can see a lot of similarity in it again. This is another thing that, this looks very pushed out of the ground. Again. This is Dupenon, it's in Colombia. And what is interesting, certain flowers only grow on that hill because it has a certain type of soil where only specific flowers can grow. This is just even in Peru. This is in Peru. Again, you have a discharge over here. This is where Pumapunku and Bolivia and everything. And this is the border between Peru and Bolivia. Again, you have the discharge. But actually, you can see those Lindenberg figures, and it goes all the way down, further down. Further down here, you can see that the ground's almost boiling over here. Further down, further down, further down. Here it stops, and what you have, one of the biggest salt lakes in the world. Again, a salt lake near that side. And those mounds are often iron rich. This is in Egypt, just. Again, you have a crater. If you look at that mountain, again, they are mining it. It's iron rich. So often those mountains are, they extract the iron or metals from it. And this is that other thing. You can see it's a centrifugal force. Again, those electrical discharge pattern, the Lindenberg figures. So again, that fits even here in Quebec, Canada. You can see a big round shape, but also over here, another circle. And you go further to the west, another circle. So there are circles, very round circles, near the pattern. Also over here, if you look at South America and Antarctica, you can see here, this is pushed, very clearly pushed. And that's what is interesting. If you look at the top of South America, I will skip this, you have the same thing happening. See? You can see also these mountains are pushed aside here. Pushed aside, just like here. Everything is pushed by this strong force that went through this area. And you can have those sinkholes in that area. Here, even close to a house, that the whole ground collapsed. And also, you have those spherical balls. Are the spherical balls in Costa Rica. So again, you have spherical balls. Most of the time, they are in the ground like this, but they dig them up, put them like this. So that's here you can see that actually they are digging those balls up. This is another site. This is in Kazakhstan. You can see those mountains are smeared out, and if you zoom out a bit, you can see there's something is happening over here. And again, flattened mountains. See, these mountains are flat, flat, flat. In that area, they are flattened again. And these are the spherical balls. It almost look like a fruit with a bit in the middle. And they're not one or two, no, there are hundreds flying around. These spherical balls. Again, you can see the centrifugal form. And here, basically, they are forming. These are still attached. It's like they are forming slowly. And then they come more balls and more balls. And this was stopped in the process. You have also other sides with those spherical balls. They almost look like, we'll skip through this, like mushrooms. They're still attached to the earth. You can see that actually they were stopped in the process. Here. Forming. And here, it is a spherical ball. So it's the process, it would have lasted a couple of seconds longer. Those balls were probably loose from the surface. Even here, you can see on the same side that those balls are forming. And this is just like they are forming, and it was stopped in the process while forming. And here is a ball that actually went through a rock with a force. You can see that probably they were shot up by the force and then came down. Because you can see this ball went through a rock of also about a meter thick. Whoop, went through it with a centrifugal force because you can see it all cut away. You have those strange grids on the earth like this. It almost looks like writing paper. And again, near that area, this is near the Camp Islands in Russia. You have those balls lying around again. Those balls, and sometimes also smaller balls. So you can see these are iron rich because they're actually rusting. But these are the size of marbles. So maybe that's why maybe that's how the marble game was ever invented. Who knows that they found those small marbles and thought, hey, we can play with them because they are iron and a little bit heavy enough to do certain things with it. This is another one. This is the Perkosi crater in Russia. And actually, if you look, this is a picture from about 5 years ago. And then if you look at the picture that is about 10, 15 years ago, you can see it's smaller. But this is still expanding. And it is still dropping. And you can see, again, those discharges in sand. To look at that, and then this shape, well, it's a lot of similarity. And again, a crater and a mount. But that's interesting. Here you can see that the ground actually dropped. Just like, and it almost looks already like the Grand Canyon. See how small those people are standing. It almost looks like the Grand Canyon a bit. See? The same shape. And actually what happened here is that the ground dropped. You can see the mountain in the background. Here's just another one. This one looks almost 100% similar as the discharges in sand done by that guy in different powdered sands. You can see this is actually 100% the same shape. So that, yeah, for wow, this is really, and this is another, here you can see again, it looks like this shape in powdered metal and sand. Almost 100% the same. You can already see those mountains are iron rich because they are already getting the iron or metals from that mountains. And again, near that site, all the other mountains became rubble. That's rubble. Probably by the impact. Here you can even see this is there's no water flowing over here. Here's the water. There's no water. It's just a city and houses. You see cities, houses. Next, you see the Lindenberg further still on the surface. There's no water flowing over here. It's just a pattern you can see on the earth. Here there's water, but here there's no water. So you can still see those patterns on the earth. Here you can see this is also a discharge pattern. Again, spherical balls near that area. And these mountains that are pushed up. So often you see discharge, you see those strange mountains pushed up, sometimes in that excellent conical shape. And often you see those spherical balls in that area. So every time it fits the narrative. That's interesting. This is basically what I was researching. And you can all often see in those areas there are ancient sites in that area. So that's also the Pumapunku. That was basically you could see the Pumapunku was destroyed. The strong force went through that site. Everything is scattered around, all over the place. Maybe these are just some other things. Here, just like here, this is Urakirumi. You can see here, everything is scattered all over the place. This was one piece. This strange thing. I think maybe it's a sundial. I still don't know what it is. And you can see some pieces are missing. And they are scattered all over the place. Here's a piece, here's a piece. They're thrown all over the place. Can I find a thing here? Even here's a piece in the, all the way over there. And these are just some other experiments, but you can see those places were hit by a strong force, and therefore all the pieces of that site, also in Pumapunku, you can see that it's scattered all over the place. And it's often, after that, it first, well, most of the time it's covered with a big mudslide or a sand slide. So strong first hit that area with this force, and then the whole, basically some sort of tsunami went over that side, because most of the time it's very deep into the earth. Just like in Egypt, most of these things are deep into the earth, not on the surface, but deep into the earth. And that's what is interesting. And the oldest sites are often deep into the earth. And that's what is fascinating me, that you have a lot of similarity inside the building structures, a lot of similarity. You have an whole other thing about that you can see the similarity on ancient sites, and that they're built in the same fashion, they're built in the same way. And then that's very interesting that you have those knobs on the stone, and they're always in Egypt, in Peru, in other sites. They're always situated on the lower part of everything. And pyramids, yeah. They're also situated on pyramid. I can actually show a photograph. I hope I'm not boring you with all the pictures.
No, not at all. You're fine. I'm taking it in.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm a little bit long-winded.
No, you honestly, I'm listening. No, you've captivated me.
Well, there you go, Art.
Okay,
she's
thanks.
Captivated. There you go.
Well, even if you look, this is the Mankura pyramid in Egypt. You can see those stones, and the knobs are situated on the lower part of the stone. And if you go to Peru, other way around, sorry. Peru, you can see those knobs situated on the lower part of the stone.
Uh-huh.
And if you look at
It's
the
quite
side,
intrigued, artist, that, hasn't it, though, artist? You've been researching that for quite a while.
And what
Yeah,
do you think these notches are on the bottom part of the stones?
I have no idea. There could be a philosophy about it because they're often situated near a doorway. So it has to do something with the doorway. Because I've seen a lot of sites, and sometimes you have the knobs somewhere else, but most of the time those knobs are situated near a doorway. Maybe I can find that picture. Let's see if it's on here. Yes, it is. I have to skip to. Okay. Also, what I want to point out here, the corner, the stones go around the corner. And this is in Peru. If you go to Egypt, they do it in the same fashion. See? And also those tight-fitting stones, you can't even put a credit card between them. And they do it the same way in Peru and Bolivia. So the same type of knobs, the same type of making a structure very strong in a corner. And again, this is lowered in the ground. Sometimes you have a strange stone like this that is actually harder. This is close to the hardness of granite. And here's something missing again. So yeah, I don't know if they took them on purpose to hide the truth or whatever they are doing. And you can see the size of it. And those stones are very level. They're only a couple of I think 0.002 off from exactly being completely level. But that's a great feat. And you can see they built something on top later on. You can often see that on the side and other sides. And this is another side that looks very similar. This is the Temple of Cafre. This is close to the Giza Plateau. It's actually in the Giza Plateau, close to the pyramids. And this is the Osiris Temple at Abydos. That's a little bit more south. You can see again, the biggest stones are often in the center of the structure, just like in Peru. The biggest structure, the biggest stones is in the center. And they're built on top of it, around it with smaller stones, around it with even smaller stones, and smaller stones. And you can see again here, just slide, you can see those knobs on the stone. Maybe there's another here, the knobs again. Again, situated on the lower part of the stone, all of them. Again here, the biggest stones, surrounded by smaller stones, and then again surrounded by even smaller stones. These big, smaller, smaller. And again, it's lowered. Everything, you can see the housings are over here. So this is covered by a lot of sand. Again, just like in Peru, it's covered by a lot of sand. So something happened that actually maybe a sand slide went over it, or it's so old that it was covered by sand, the sand. Yeah, you can see again, this is built without any cement or mortar, those big structures with stones. And then later, more structures are built with mortar between them and cemented together. And you can see this is just another side view of it. After some views of it. This is in the same fashion again. This is in near Cusco in Peru, big stones, and repaired by the Inca civilization, who found these sites. And it's well known that the Inca civilization dealt with these, basically normal stones you can find all over the place, but they are cemented together. And those older constructions aren't cemented together. And again, a very strange shape. One block is the same size, and they fit together so tightly. Can put a credit card between them. Here, also over here, a very strange shape. Again, then you can see the repairs by the Inca civilization here, and these are two Inca buildings on the side with small stones that are cemented together, and these aren't cemented together. That's very smart because it's in a mountain range. So those builders knew that there could be earthquakes. And if you don't cement those stones together and build them with those odd shapes, they can slide over each other without something happening to your structure. So therefore, the structure is far stronger as in the cemented structures that were built by the Inca civilization. Here I can put out that you can see the very difference in the stones. Also over here, and with the strange surfaces. You can see that what is built on top It's done by a later civilization. That's every time the case. And here you can see even in Baalbek, Lebanon, here you can see those big stones, again with inverted knobs in a row. And they used it as a foundation. A lot of churches even in Peru and other places, churches are built on ancient Neolithic sites. I can just, it works. Yeah, I can show you a couple of pictures of ancient sites. That you can see that they built a church on top of it. Just open this one.
Well, if I might run with some of what you've said to me, I might run with some of that into this fantasy type book I'm writing. I might, if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As I say, I think
if
sometimes
you want to
people
use it and for your research, feel free, because I never say. I will always, if I'm in the opinion when somebody uses my work, even if they don't give credit to me.
Oh no, honestly,
really,
if it's okay with
no,
yourself.
I don't care about that anymore, because if they tell it in the right way and place it off as their own, I don't really care, because the message is based on. And that's what I found most important.
If you're happy to, I'll exchange emails with you and I'll keep in touch. And I'll definitely, obviously, give you definitely give you credit.
Member to our family, new member to our family. We are family.
What I'm trying to do is, I says to yourself earlier on, Karen, is that sometimes if something's presented to somebody in a fictional fantasy way, people are more open and susceptible to the idea, so that when later on something is then told to them to be true. Okay, so especially people are happy to go and sit and watch Game of Thrones and say, oh yeah, I love dragons, and oh yeah, I totally believe in dragons. Yeah, I definitely think that could be a possibility, because it's presented to them in a fantasy world. But if somebody was to go and sit them down and say, okay, dragons are real, they'd laugh at you. Yeah. So if you present something...
Sarah, do you want to just explain what you're doing? Because Lev and Artist weren't maybe around. Just explain what you're doing then. You're writing books. Just
a book. I'm writing a series of books. And I'm trying to get across as much of this information from various people in this story. It is a fantasy story based on several characters' perspectives. So it will be, as I say, it will hopefully draw people in through their story, but the information that's put through into the book, I'm trying to get based on what us as our community is trying to say is real. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
I don't know. I suppose, for example, I don't know if you like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Some of the things people will say, Sarah, oh yeah, I definitely think that could be a possibility. It's put forward in a fantasy way, but some of it could well be true.
Sarah, you could always put at the end your description of the book, and on the last page put fantasy, or is it?
And also what I found out is basically, you can see that in this picture, they often build churches on ancient sites because it's very smart. You find an ancient site that is destroyed. Yeah, there's already probably they were building a city, and you find an ancient site with a very good foundation, and everything is scattered all over the place. So you can use some of the stones, but the foundation is already there, so you can build it on top. Even the Romans did it. You probably heard that in Baalbek, the Temple of Jupiter, the foundation has such a big stones. The Romans didn't have the capability of lifting those stones in place. They probably find that site, use the stones that were there for some doorways maybe or whatever, and basically build their structures on top of a much older site, as you can see in this picture of this church. It was already there. And even there's another church. This is a graveyard, and they digged and they found indeed an ancient site. And this church is also built on the foundations of an ancient site. Here, actually, the wall of the church is pre-Inca, because because the Inca couldn't build in this fashion. And these stones, again, without any mortar, cement between them.
But the ones on
They
top are
tightly
completely different,
fitting.
aren't they? I can see that the stones that are built on top of that are definitely different.
Well,
Yeah.
they built the church, that wall later on top of it. Because you have actually two. I can't find a bigger picture.
Hey, Sarah, just very quickly, artist, 1 second, artist. What you see now to what you wouldn't have seen, you might have looked at that picture and just saw them as stones. And I mean, artists drawn to our attention, like how many buildings this has happened to.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, here, another church. You can see here, this is clearly a very ancient wall. And and you can see they built a church again on top of it. And you have a lot of sites. I'm trying to find more. These are just some random other pictures for my research. You can see this is broken off. And you have a lot of structures, a lot of similarity between structures. Again, just the same type of wall, and they use some of the stones and build a church on top of it. So that's what they do. They are doing. I can flip to here, and then again here. This is in in Mexico. Again, they had a church, and then when they did some digging into the ground, they stumbled on this ancient structure again. A church built on top of an older ancient site. You can see that in the courtyard. It just one piece of wall. This was probably also still there. And you can see they built around it. Oh, we have a very strong corner, and you can see that this is built later on. And in another church, some of them are the same church. You can see even 3 times of civilizations now. And this is the first civilization with those odd-looking stones fitted together. Then the Inca civilization came and built with smaller stones, and then the Spanish Inquisition came and they built on top of that.
This is incredible. This is completely you just would never think to look at it this way. Very, very interesting.
And this even more clear. Yeah, this is the church.
See why I mentioned artists to you then, didn't you? Especially when you came out. Yeah, you needed to see this.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. This could not have come at a more perfect time, to be really honest with you.
Yeah. Hey, you can see actually they used the wall here. The wall was already there because it's a very old wall. And they built a church on that side. You can see here the foundations. You see still the other constructions from that previous civilization. And even if you go into the church, again, it's a similar type of, the structure, but here they prevented it. They use one piece of the structure for the constructions of the church. The rest is still there. That structure. So that structure was there, but luckily enough, when they built this church, they only used one wall of that structure and left the rest intact. And there's a strange, maybe it's a worshipping place, maybe it's just an info for whatever. Again, and you have always these false windows. They're never open. They're always blocked up. And again here, knobs on the stones.
You got any speculations as to what that's about, no?
Well, they actually did a test in the Olaya Tombo, and they sung into the wall with a flat E. And then the whole wall starts to resonate for a couple of minutes.
Seriously?
Even sometimes, Actually, if you wanna, a lot of research and sometimes a message with him. Is Brian Forrester. You ever heard about him?
No, I have not. No.
He actually is also now doing he has also done DNA tests on those elongated skulls, and that actually they are mixed DNA and found in Peru. And you actually have to watch his video to get all the detail. But basically, the detail relates back to the people who were living in Europe near the Black Sea. So the people were living in a location near the Black Sea actually traveled to South America. So back then, in that time, they had the capability of traveling to South America one way or another. And that was way before the Vikings actually went to South America. So
Mhm.
how many years? I don't know. Probably thousands. But that's a rough estimate. Again,
Mhm.
here you have again those false windows or false doorways. They're always blocked off. It's another church. Again, they built on top of it. Here, always those false windows or false doorways, and they are sound resonant. So if you sing in them, it starts to resonate.
Wow.
And yeah, and again, close to these structures, you can also see those electrical discharges. They're often not that far away from that location, or actually, you can see that location is in the middle of an electric discharge, just like I show Puma Punku. You probably heard about those stones with very straight corners, and those stones have magnetic properties, very clear. If you put a compass or slide a compass over them, the needle goes in specific directions, so 45, 90, 180 degrees exactly. You slide them over those certain ancient structures. I'm also going to do some tests myself with ancient stone domes here in near in my area.
Artist. I don't know how much longer Sarah's got, but
Yeah, about
could
10
you
minutes.
show
Yeah.
that picture when you put these blocks are this color, these blocks in that picture you've got, you put them on one on top of the other to show the different civilizations which have been there building.
Yeah. I will try to get that. Yeah, thanks, Carol. That's actually a good suggestion. Just a second. I have to find the picture real quick. But
I've got ideas coming to my head already of how I can use this in my book.
well, actually,
Yeah, you were meant to meet then, Sarah. I'm so pleased.
I'm not joking. Like, literally ideas are coming to me, but I'll run them past you. I forget your name now. Artist, is that right?
Yeah,
Artist.
that's fine.
I'll run them past you. It is literally, I mean, you're going on research, and I don't have the brains to sort of be able to do what you're doing, but the fact is that you've got civilizations using one stone, and then another civilization building on top of another, and then another one building on top of that again, and then us building our material that I can use. I can run with that for sure.
Yeah, and here you can see in this picture I'm showing now. This is Machu Picchu, very well known. Well, even now you can see that they are different. My philosophy is basically this is on the other side. It's a Loyotombo. You can see that big bar and the tight fitting stones. Here you can see also the bar, same type of bar, so same type of fashion. Again, this is the oldest and biggest stone in Loyotombo, and then you go to Machu Picchu, similar stone. So this is the oldest with the red line. Those are the older stones. And yeah, clearly you can see the later civilization probably built this because these are those strange stones with the odd shapes.
And with the closed windows as well.
And the closed windows. What I think, and these have all these odd shapes, and these are on the left. They have more brick type form. So this was probably after that, and they still made these false windows because they probably still knew what that was about. Also, you can see here something was put in here at one point, but it's gone. But here you can see this piece is already lying. If you look in the valley, there are a lot of rubble from this structure. A lot of pieces are in the valley all over the place. And then the Inca civilization came, also built those false windows. So this is well known to be an Inca type of structure. And they used they are cemented together with a green line around it. Aren't cemented together. This isn't cemented together with the blue line, and this is definitely not cemented together. So actually, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 civilization built on one side.
Yeah.
There you can see very different type of building style. And if you look at
And
this,
they just will not tell us the truth, will they?
the historians say, yeah, this was built by the same people. That's what they tell. And I think, sorry, but also, I know a lot. I have a lot of architecture books, and I was big into architecture. So I recognize clearly different types. If a body is it's pointed out to you, you will recognize. And if you look at this section over here, again, these stones could be fallen out. Maybe they are lying over here. And if you look at the other side of the wall, you see here, these are blocked off still. These stones, probably this is the stone that should be fitted in here. And if you look at the shapes, they're just like jigsaw puzzle. You can see on top of here, it was restoration by the Inca civilization. Over here, there's restoration by the Inca civilization. And you can see that all over the place, that here, even in this door, restoration by the Inca civilization. This is older. This is before the Inca civilization. This is what I showed already. In the knobs in the stones, you can see how big this is. This is estimated to be this stone 500 tons. So good luck with putting that in place. And again, smaller stones around.
I was to say, I'll definitely have to have a chat with you, Artie, because as I want to sort of talk more about my ideas, but I don't want to sort of put them out there and sort of spoil the plot of the story with everybody.
Yeah.
But this is amazing. This is if you're up for another chat.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Off air. Well, I'm not worrying about what I'm saying in front of people.
Yeah. And these are perspectives I have. I don't say, this is the truth. No.
These
are possibilities.
No.
And it's pointing in all in direction. Also, this is in Baalbek, Lebanon. And if you go to Turkey, same type of fashions. Again, those big stones. Again, with those inverted knobs. Just like here, see a row, similar. And you can see this is destroyed, see? Some strong force because most of this site is also underwater, see, still. It's flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And here again, this is even in Iran. And again, those knobs inverted. This is the temple I already showed you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is also very similar. Here, this is in Spain. Timers in Spain. Again, you can see this big stones. This was carved into the bedrock. Again, there's those holes in there. And later civilization built with these bigger stones in between. And then the Romans came, because this is recorded as Rome, used it as the foundation for a Roman fortress. But if you look at this type of structure, and this is in Spain, and you go to Bolivia, hey, similar, big stones, smaller stones in between. So again, these stones were already in the location, and then the later civilization came and used it as a foundation. And you can see even here, there's a similarity. This is very straight and tight-fitting stones without mortar, and these, again, they build with mortar. So this is probably what looks the most modern is often the oldest. That's interesting.
Right. I'm gonna have to go because I'm running out of time.
There's a last thing. Even on those big pillars, you can see still some decorations. See?
Artie, she's got to go.
Probably it was a statue with a decoration.
Artie, she's got to go. She's got to go.
This is the last picture.
I really would appreciate getting some more time with you and speaking to you. I'm not sure how I go about getting sort of your details or whatnot.
Well,
Karen, could you message in my email or something like that?
Just arrange it. I'll arrange it. I'll pass or arrange it with you. We've got emails now.
Yeah,
we're sorted. We'll sort this out. Don't worry, Sarah.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you know, I've got some ideas running through my head. It'd be really good to talk them over with you. And I'll give you some more sort of info on the books that I'm writing as well. I'm not sort of speaking in front of everybody as well. I'll leave that with you guys. I'm going to head off and go make dinner for the family. But you guys have been amazing. Thanks so much for having me on. I've really appreciated chatting to you all. Been amazing.
Well, before you go, I'm so pleased because I took your video and I mirrored it, and you never know, people could get funny, but you didn't reply, so I thought, well, some people don't reply. And then you replied today, and look what's happened. So it was meant to be.
No, so honestly, I'm really strange how timing, where some things just seem to fit together. and I came to a stop with writing the second book, and I feel like I've got to a point where I can't write anymore because something seems to be stopping me. Like I've got like a blockage nearly. So I've come away from it. I've then gone to my phone, and then sort of, I don't know, coincidences and things like that. And now I've come across you, all you guys, and you've given me more inspiration. So I don't think that could have timed any better than this, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yay!
Really, really,
Well,
really.
Be glad to help you out. Yeah.
Yeah, to say sequences.
Big hug, Sarah.
Yeah, it's been great, you did. It's been lovely chatting to you all. But I'll get back in contact. If I don't come off just now, then I'll be getting told off when husband comes home with no dinner on the table for him.
Yeah,
Right.
that's all right.
that's
What is that?
okay.
It's been great talking to you and sharing information.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to hang up and leave you guys to it. I'll get back in contact with you, Karen, and everybody else. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you,
catch you later.
Sarah.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, Sarah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, well, there you go then. That was meant to be.
Yeah. I would like to come on earlier, but I had some work to attend to. So
Oh, that's
when I was
okay.
finished with my work, well, quickly go to the hangout to see if you're still there and you work.
You've got to be on. You've got to be live 24 hours a day, almost.
Yeah,
with
almost.
We've been on for a few hours now, so we'll probably end this hangout right now. I'm hoping to come back on, but I won't say who, just in case it doesn't happen. But I'm waiting for that person to come home now, and then we'll be going live again.
Wow.
So we should be back shortly. Thank you for meeting Sarah, because that's just brilliant, because obviously she's just it's just great, isn't it? Great timing.
Oh, yeah.
And Lev, thanks for coming on. Artists, people in the chat room are saying amazing. You're an amazing researcher, which you are. Judith,
Thank you.
we love you too. And thanks for coming on.
I love you all. Thank you, artist. It was wonderful. Again, I love it.
Thank you, Judith.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Yeah, well, it's really great when the family bit kicks in and we help other people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to end now. Thank you, everybody, to watching. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. Everybody's going to watch this. And this is what happens with live researching.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to everybody and good evening.
Bye.
Back soon, hopefully. Big hugs, Judith. Mwah. Lev. Mwah. Artist. Mwah. And Sarah. Mwah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you very much. I know, Lev, you haven't said very much today, have you?
I know. I come on at the same time as Artist, and he had a lot to present then, and it was really interesting. And I didn't want to spoil it, so. But it was interesting what Sarah had to say. I'd like to listen to her after hangout when she speaks to artists and stuff. Because I had me interested in writing and stuff, kind of thing, and I might be able to contribute towards it.
We'll sort that one out, Lev. We'll sort that one out. Anyway, a big thank you to everybody, and hopefully see you later on today. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.